Tessa from Mama's Geeky here. Thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. Thank you for taking the time today. Each of my girls have a question, so we'll be quick.
Did you create the animal tornado?
How do we create the animal tornado? So, as you might guess, there wasn't actually a tornado there. So what we would do is we would put fan machines up so that they would blow everybody, so that once we later put it in, you would see the reactions of people around it. We also, anytime Michael Pena, who played Terrence, was holding the leash, we would do a pulley system that went up into a corner, and other guys would pull that so that he would move through the room. And then after that, I must admit, we gave it to our animators, and that's when the computer magic, the movie magic happens. The computers just created this idea that we had on once, Tom and Jerry, and once you throw a dog and they're spinning around, what that might look like. And, the idea was always to create something that would create the most destruction that we could possibly come up with. And so the computers would at some point put it inside of the shots that we had shot. So that's kind of that's the easy way of explaining how it happened.
Well, thanks. It came out awesome. It's one of our favorites.
Thank you.
So. All right, go ahead, honey.
Did you put any Easter eggs from any of your previous movies? Like Fantastic Four.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Not from my previous movies, no. I am a big fan of Batman, so there's a couple of things in there, like when he goes up in front of the moon. The moon, that's taken from the first Batman movie with Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson, long time ago. And then I also there's a big cartoon that I grew up loving called Secret Squirrel. And when Jerry is in the bathtub, he's reading a Secret Squirrel comic book.
Do you have any ideas for a sequel?
Very good question. I do have some ideas, and I've got some characters that I want to use. And we hope enough of the audience out there, enough people out there see the movie, and Warner Brothers is kind of nudge, wants to do another one, because I have a lot of fun ideas that could, they'll destroy more stuff, put it that way.
Hi, thank you so much. It's so great being here with you. My question is, what are some unexpected challenges that you ran into when working with the classic animation and the live action together? Obviously, it poses some unique challenges, but I was wondering, what are some things that you didn't expect?
Oh, great question. Well, I didn't expect the actors always needed somebody to, they work better when they're working up against something, and or another actor. And in this case, you had an animated character, and that animated character was only 3 feet high or 2.5 feet high or whatever it is. So the way we solved it is we had puppets, and we had a puppet of Tom and Jerry. He was a gray version of Tom and Jerry. And the great thing about Tom, obviously, and Jerry too, that they didn't speak. So the puppet made perfect sense, because I didn't understand how well puppeteers, how good they are. And so that we kind of created this, we kind of solved this challenge that when the actors wanted to act against something, we gave them puppets. And because the puppeteers were so good, the actors actually would sometimes ask to do a few of the takes with the puppet before I took it out, because they just enjoyed working with them better than talking to nothing. So that was something I didn't expect, for the actors to depend on the puppets as much as I thought they would.
So what was the most difficult scene to film?
The most difficult scene was probably the wedding. Just in the event, even though I loved, and what was also fun, but also a little difficult to make too, was them destroying the hotel room. When we did the wedding, Now I brought all of the characters into one room. So to have Tom, Jerry, and Spike, and then two elephants and a tiger and peacocks, and it goes on, and toots, and you're just bringing all of these in. So you had to kind of basically give everybody their shot or everybody their moment and make it all kind of work cohesively. So it that was probably the most difficult, just because every I don't want to say problem, but every challenge I had, I brought into one room.
Here, thank you for having us. Corey, do you want to go first?
Sure.
Loud and proud.
Did you decide to make it, or did someone tell you to make it?
Oh, good question. Well, they did ask me if I would be interested in making a Tom and Jerry movie. And then I said, absolutely, yes, let's go. And so that's kind of how it normally works. At some point they just, hey, what do you think about this? And I knew exactly what this cartoon was. I grew up with it. I made it a point to get as close to what I remember these cartoons being and what they meant to me when I was young. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, we were
thank
laughing
you.
our heads off last night. Wait, you want to go?
Yeah. What was your favorite episode of the old Tom and Jerry cartoons?
Oh, great question. So Jerry has this uncle who used to sing with the guitar. And I wish I remembered his name. So since I'm kind of Team Jerry, it was always Jerry stuff. So Jerry had an uncle that would sing and on TV, but his guitar kept breaking and he had to keep pulling Tom's whisker to make himself a guitar.
I remember that one.
Yeah, and then there's another one where Jerry has a strong cousin. I think his name was Muscles.
The big muscle.
And yeah, he's this big, and he wears a sweater and a hat. And Jerry's having some time with Tom, and he calls Muscles, and Muscles comes to visit Jerry, and beats up Tom anytime he can. And before he leaves Jerry with his clothes so that Tom thinks it's still him. So those are I'm Team Jerry, so those come back to my mind.
That's awesome. Who's next?
Since you did this movie and all, did you take any events or moments in your life and maybe added it to the script or anything?
What a great question. What a great question. I'm trying to think. I guess no. I mean, I probably should have. I think what I did do, whenever possible, is just do things that I remember, like the Batman, Jerry and the Moon, and
I like that scene a lot.
Yeah.
yeah,
love that
it was just, we were doing this thing with Tom flying around, and I just thought, wouldn't it be silly if he just flew up, and I remember going back, getting that piece of the movie, and of course, Batman, Warner Brothers is the same home as Tom and Jerry, studio-wise, and I just thought, some will get it, some won't, and so it's a little bit of a wink to one of my favorite movies.
That's awesome.
Did any of your characters ever go off script and do ad-lib?
Sure. We got a lot of fun, as I was saying earlier, with Chloe saying those kind of things, or even Michael Pena, when he would say stuff like, put it on TikTok and those guys. That's Michael Pena. That's him.
Awesome.
Even when he's arguing, he says, "Well, she brought the kitty cat to the bar too." That's Michael. So there's a lot of ad-libs in the movie that I just let my actors go for it. And when it's funny, we keep it.
That's awesome.
Oh, I have another question. So in the Tom and Jerry episodes, I would always love to see how Tom got flattened, or how he turned into a bowling pin. How did you come up with ideas of how that happened in the movie? Like how he got flattened and then looked like a spider at one point?
Well, that's what's fun about making this movie is I've got decades of just, these old cartoons. What I did immediately in getting this movie is I went back and I watched all the cartoons over again. Just mainly the ones I grew up on, which are the original Hanna-Barbera. So from late 40s to I think it's the end of the 50s. And there was about 113 ish somewhere around there. And I just watched all of those again. and you would just continue to bring up ideas, everything from the bowling ball to, knew I had to flatten his face at some point. So the iron, came into to be, every time you just got stuck creatively, it was fun to just kind of go and like look at all these pictures. We put pictures of all these episodes all over the room, and just anytime you got stuck, you could just pick up something, and it was really fun.
That's cool.
And I'm just here because I'm a fanboy of lots of your work, so fan of you. So
thank you.
That's why I get to sit here with my kids. That's why we do what we do, so we can all do this together. So.
Absolutely. Look, I made this movie for my son, so it was just to do a movie that I could take him, to a premiere and do all of that stuff. But I really made it for him, and just wanted to introduce him to it. And it's great to hear you say that, and I'm glad you guys had a good time with it.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Hello. So
Hey.
I loved the wedding in the movie. I thought it was beautiful. I think anybody minus the animals would love having that wedding.
Come on, you gotta love the animals. Come on.
Well, maybe not the elephants. Everybody knows planning a wedding in real life is really challenging. I want to know about the challenges of planning a wedding in a movie.
Wow. Well, first is kind of what type of wedding it is. So we had an Indian wedding in this one, and what's great about Indian weddings, and I guess like most cultures, they are really lavish. They're really big. They're really colorful. There's just a lot of things they bring to it, and of course, what they sometimes have is animals. And so it was, now mind you, there was never elephants on set, obviously. But it was kind of the same thing. We picked out, I think what most brides probably go through. We picked out colors. We picked out dresses. These dresses that the bride, as well as some of the bridesmaids wore, they had to be made. So we had to pick them out very early in advance, and did a lot of picture pointing and saying, hey, let's have this and have that. And literally it was almost like without, I guess I could say there was a guest list too, because then we had all the extras we had to pull in, and we had to dress all of them and kind of figure out, what type of friends would this couple have. So there's a lot to it that's actually like a wedding. And I'm pretty sure it costs much more than normal weddings. So, and then of course, after that, then we of course have to do lighting and figure out how we're going to shoot it. But we kind of did it much like you would do any type of wedding, and had to have multiple versions of everything. So anytime you saw like a centerpiece on a table or any of this, we had to have 3 of them or 4 of them, because we had to destroy it. The same thing with the cake. We had 4 cakes. So one cake was styrofoam with icing on it, so that we could just have it there whenever we needed to. And the other 3 were like, the top 2 layers were kind of made of cheesecake. So that when you hit when Kim Jong beats up the cake, pieces of it would fly everywhere. So it's so there's a lot of that kind of the planning of the wedding.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you very much.